Microphone check. Apparently there is a little delay in Droid Cam. Let me see if I can offset that. Okay, audio is fine. I am not taking audio from the camera. The camera is separate video. So, really don't like that delay. But it's getting better. As long as it's within 1 second. Currently using my A25 Samsung Galaxy as with Droid Cam, and Droid Cam has a little lag usually, but this is looking much better already today. Alright, this is Channel 1 Great Earth, where I look at postmodern natural disasters that are currently unfolding right before our eyes. They are we last left off looking in Bolivia yesterday. Now the sun is showing all sorts of smoke, especially. This is all smoke here. Lighter smoke is evident here. But it's thinning out and it's spreading everywhere. So you can play the last 3 hours. You can see these wildfires carrying through much of Bolivia. This huge gust coming from San Ignacio de Mozambique and Trinidad is going to beat these fires around a lot, start up a lot of new fire fronts, but you can see there is smoke everywhere, and this is by the Andes Mountain as well, so that is an ecosystem that smoke should not be touching in such way, but it is. These wildfires can be seen from space even as of today and yesterday. They are continuing to burn. Lots of fuel, must be because it's still burning. Zoom out just to make sure I'm not in Australia here. A little far over to the east. Down to Bolivia. Right smack dab right where we were looking at those fires on Zoom Earth. You can see these spectacular amount of smoke that is being pushed up by fires that are burning all over the place. There's evidence of fire along the river. Some of these fields are burned. Maybe these are farmlands and they're burning their crops, which don't do. Otherwise, you'll burn your whole area down. The conditions, you see a little fire right here. This is Bolivia. This is between a road and a river here. But the fires are burning all across these fields. Farmland, especially in this numerous. A lot of animals and manure, liquid manure or fertilizer. quite combustible. There are fires that have been burning here for days under this smoke screen. This smoke screen helps trap the heat, and it kills a lot of vegetation, makes it wither, causing plants to become dehydrated and easily burn. Easy to combust, not just burn. This fire here does not need to travel over here to burn that. The fire puts up particles into the air that float over and fall down, and to start a fire right there. These are spot fires, embers all over the place, grass, trees, just monstrous amount, just monster fields that go on forever are all on fire. So Australia and Western Australia had a pretty big fire in the western side, the northern western side of Western Australia. These are just fields that go on forever. And they're now all at risk. Fire likes to follow river systems because of the slope and the fresh vegetation that's usually surrounding the areas. And plus, smoke can go over water, which will allow it to transit particulates that are 700 degrees Fahrenheit that will cause spot fires and larger fires. This is a mega fire here. You can see the scope of the smoke right here. Now, that's not to say all of this is all coming off of these fires. This isn't just one long fire. Smoke can only go up so far before it hits the ceiling, and then it thins out over time, spreading out. However, if the smoke were to keep going and hit a thermal inversion, smoke would come up and start making saucer plate. Really big plate. Currently seeing both of those, but the smoke is pretty all over the place from focal points of blazes right here. This is what it looks like up close. It's waiting for it to load. There are fires active all along. This is why I say it's an active fire. It's not burning a mega fire. It's not burning on just active fronts of the perimeter. It's burning within the perimeter, which isn't unique, but for the fires that we've been seeing, they usually just spread and keep spreading and get put out in the areas closer to what's important. Not if they are limited resources to have heavy machinery. There's a fire burning right here. Also, note that wildfires don't have to respect the bend of a river. It'll continue burning true as it continues to burn and burn. Real at risk here of an alarmingly large fire. Terrible smoke. Lots of embers that bounce and roll, and soot and ash. These are some of the largest wildfires on the planet right now. Taking a moment to load, I apologize, but you can see how much this land has been destroyed of this one giant rolling wildfire. This thing is massive. "21 kilometers wide from this furthest run. 42 kilometers in length, these runs it's making. But that's not how this fire is burning. It's burning on 6 degrees of freedom. It's burning at all angles. And you can see where the fire starts over the river system and burns within the river banks. Right here. And it just continues forward and burns all the rest here. This is the largest wildfire on the planet. Until I find one larger, that's currently either in Australia or Africa, which don't think so. Not nearly as large as this. Australia's had some pretty significant bushfires, but it's the smoke really that's the problem. And the Northern Territory is, of course, lit up. Fire, when obeying the river bends and continuing these slow grass fires, far north as we get, past, I don't even think we're past Trinidad yet. That's currently... Maybe I should move my microphone back a little bit from my keyboard so we're not hearing all the clicks and typing. I type very fast, so it might sound strange. I don't know how it'll sound on the microphone. This is all this is just of today. These aren't composites or stitched together scans of multiple days. This is all from the 22nd. All these fires that we're seeing are still burning in Bolivia, as I don't believe there is a modern human way of putting out these fires. They can shovel and pick and make pre-burn lines, but it's so complicated with so much vegetation everywhere, and it's burning areas that it's already burned previously right here. This land all right here, previously burned. A little bit of it. Alright. Back at it. Okay, solving a little bit of an issue here. Is not coming through as good as I was hoping. Okay, that's good. Had to find the right color. Now, all along this region is being destroyed. Fire burning lines, zigzagging as it continues its way southwest here. Terrible smoke. There are fires burning all over Bolivia. I don't think I've seen anything like this before. It's massive. Bolivia is home to about 12 million people. It is not a small area, not a small region, divided by multiple states. Most other South America countries like Brazil, divided like Mato Grosso and other areas. But Bolivia, it is burning all over. So even coming down south, see more and more fires burning alongside rivers. And the fires will push out moisture and drive moisture away from these channels. And debris can roll into the rivers, stopping them, blocking them up. So many fires burning alongside this river here. Each one of these represents a different line, different plume of smoke. They all mend together to billow out. This false color satellite image of this massive fire that we're currently looking at in Bolivia, in the southern part of Bolivia by Cochabamba. Is that it? No. Cochabamba. Cochabamba. Couldn't really see it. Oh, it was too little. These fires are still burning east. Even just these little fires too. These can grow hundreds of kilometers with the right conditions like this has. There are fires all over Bolivia. The entire state knows fire. I'm looking at earthquakes. Hey, look at that. The solo air quality index is 250 in Alice Springs, Northern Territory, Australia. No, looks like still no rain for Australia today. Awful. A lot of lightning here. Come back to satellite. An idea of the clouds and any weather that might be in the area. But again, there's not a lot of air quality sensors that would give a better indication of just how bad things are getting down there. Dozens of fires burning in this mega fire. It's the whole thing. One giant fire. It's burning along so many different perimeters. That would be just... If they have this contained here on the southern flank, it's not going to matter because the fire's still moving this way, it's still moving this way, fire's still burning out that way. Now it's coming close to the river, there's patches of burn around the river now. But even though they beat these fires back, the river cheats. Fire's deaf and allows it to burn back. And some of these fires are quite brightly illuminated. Now this is a huge fire right here. What is the fire perimeter? 1.29 kilometers. These are hugely burning, impactful fires. These... Damn. Bolivia's in some trouble. A lot of scorched earth, a lot of very large, very hot, lots of fuel, possible crowning, fire perimeters burning actively. The whole... These fires... The fire doesn't have to do what it has. Even over across the riverside here, and this giant blaze. This is one of the largest wildfires I've seen. This... It is a really impressive blaze. Bolivia is in trouble. I don't usually see wildfires that look like they're just engulfing a third of the countryside. 12 million people that live in Bolivia. Look at this fire perimeter up here. These are terrifying. I don't see much coverage at all regarding Bolivia and these wildfires. Last month I've been covering what I can see on satellite. Don't see a lot on not broadcast TV, but trying to find any information. Australia is the only one that has a lot of fire related information. Brazil's covered in smoke. And Bolivia is covered in wildfires that will eventually become either wildfires or smoke for Paraguay. All this smoke is straight down, heading straight down, heading straight down. Paraguay is down here, right there. So you got this very forceful bend around the Andes mountain, and it's going to drive these fires bigger and faster and longer runs. This is all smoke right here. See your smoke, 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 smoke. It's a lot of destruction of land. You wouldn't want to do this to land that you plan on using again, unless it's for cheap beef. Can't get rid of prion disease in the soil. You can use napalm. It won't work. Hugely swaths of forest, jungle, completely taken out in a matter of days. And these fires are still active. Go all the way to the latest. This is churning. 3-hour time lapse. See in South Bolivia, Cochabamba, Cochabamba. This San Ignacio de Moxas. This storm front is turning because when it goes over hot land, it's going to change the direction the weather is traveling because moisture wants to avoid fire and retreats from fire. And weather and cloud systems will avoid smoke. Smoke, it's pulled around, pushed around, adds weight to weather. It does a lot of different things to the environment, besides just, be bad for like carbon-based life forms. It's absolutely unreal the kind of fire that we are seeing out of Bolivia. Still today. Yesterday, right before the satellite, after dark, when it turns dark you can't see these fires of smoke on satellite like this. So this thing probably still churned a lot, driving a lot of heat and smoke south all the way to its neighbors, Paraguay. This is all coming to northern Argentina and Paraguay. You can see here with the wind animation at 4 to 7 miles per hour, 16 miles an hour around the bend of the Andes Mountains. These wildfires are not letting up, and there is a lot more wind. As you can see, it's still present, going across so many borders like Paraguay and Argentina. What's going to be the first country that holds another country responsible for the damage these fires have caused in smoke? These kind of damages exceed what the country would be able to pay out. They're still paying out on top of all the damages that they're seeing in their own countries. Bolivia is in trouble. Getting pretty cloudy, pretty smoky. Sky's breaking up. But the smoke has a clear line south, and it can burn all along this line. Any further south, you get these look like smoky whips. Not surprised, it's smoke completely blanketing Brazil and its states. the Mato Grosso to Piauí. Now, these fires look to be as far north as Rodonia, but there's a lot of cloud coverage throughout Brazil, so we'd have to look in a different way at using a different satellite method. These clouds are all being turned here, and they're going to roll across the Andes Mountain. They're going to be like gears of smoke. Hundreds of fires. Hundreds of fires. Don't know if Bolivia is able to combat these blazes. They are massive, and they are burning everywhere along the fire perimeters and along the scorched earth as well. They're not being put out. It's been days now, and this fire is still burning massively. So this is diffusion here. It's a lot of heat, a lot of particulates that weather meets whenever it hits smoke. Smoke's going to just do nothing. Smoke doesn't do anything unless it's pushed or pulled or twisted into a squall line. But you have weather that will go over all of that smoke. So it's changing weather as we speak in northern Argentina and Paraguay, and possibly transiting a lot of smoke to their neighbors. Well, Brazil and other areas in South America are currently experiencing wildfires as well, but it looks like there's a lot of cloud coverage. So unless we can zoom in using a daily scan, a lot of scorched earth. Although it doesn't look like there is any active fire burn on that. Get up to the Tocantins. Really does look like a mixture of smoke, clouds. Weather's not going to be able to move, and the cloud wants to stay still. The cloud wants to stick together. It's sticky. So the clouds of smoke will become a cloud structure. Oh, sorry, a smoke structure that will just sit, do nothing until something acts against it, pushes it, and it's going to keep going. The fire is lobbing the smoke all up between the releases of gases and energy. So, pretty hugely fire. Let's see if there is any scan of the 23rd yet. Nope. Using zoom out more. You can see more of Brazil and Santa Cruz, Mato Grosso. Apologies, taking a moment to load. Light blue is going to be clouds. Check the moisture index along this. Normally I don't do this on smaller wildfires, but this one is complicated. It's by so many river systems and roads, no roads. Not easily to traverse this area. One road. You can see all the farmland because it's all nice and moist. Farmland gets water and irrigation. This is spectacular looking. I'm going to do a time lapse of this over the last few days, from the October 11th to the 23rd. can see as the fire burns, it releases a lot of air that can be cool or hot. Maybe either or, it's not just cool moisture or cold moisture. A lot of fire that's burning, and as fire burns, it also burns moisture out of the ground, releases moisture out of the ground, as well as it burns the layers above the ground so that get to that rich soil moisture, soil rich moisture, soil moisture rich, moisture rich soil, that's it, sorry. Now we have these burning everywhere, and moisture is going to want to go away from fire. It wants to escape fire, even though it's not possible in these areas. But you can see the river system, pretty warm, pretty narrow rivers, very, very long, unforgiving bends. And you can see all the farmland, that's all nice and watered. So hopefully at least that prevents some of the fire from continuing. But as we can see, using false color, apologize if droid cam is making me look like I am moving very fast or it's not moving at all. It's been quite a bit of lag with droid cam lately. Now here is false color of false color images of this massive, massive wildfire that is burning dozens of miles at a time in just a few short days. It's engulfing farmland, forest, jungle, riverbeds. It goes down a slope, allowing it to come right back up. The fire's going to go whoop, whoop, and it's going to keep doing that. And it doesn't have to respect the river bends, so it's just going to keep burning true. There are a number of spot fires, but this is massive. I don't think I've seen this much of an active fire that's along so many different points of active perimeter. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of small fires that are burning. Probably what was left of the fuel that it got to. Fuel meaning trees, anything that can combust or burn, especially in these areas. Unless I go even deeper with satellite, it's probably just going to be a lot of jungle and foresty areas. But let's look at Landsat. Turn this back to the 11th, the 3rd. Go back to Bolivia, Pando, pause. Now, Landsat will allow me to have a thermal. (23rd) C. 18th is the last day for the Landsat camera, satellite. You can see these fires still here. September 14 Village, yep. And this is all the fire that's been burning today, still today. A massive complex of fires. And it doesn't look to be a mega fire because it looks like dozens of small fires burning throughout it. So it's not this towering inferno that's hundreds of feet. Here's the thermal. I'm not going to be surprised as too much These little stripes here from radar, just going over the area over and over and over. And false color using Landsat, but this is from the 18th, so they're just a few days old, but that fire, those fires are there. Fires are there in Bolivia and they're still burning there. It's huge. Landsat has the same similar picture, and these two fires fronts meeting here would be very serious. That's Bolivia. Let's take a look at where we pulled off of Bolivia, see if any of these fires can be seen from space. So this is Paraguay. Usually doesn't take that long. Yeah, these are fires we already know about. Every time I try to use it this way, it always takes forever to load and usually doesn't. I don't know why. Anything outside of the 22nd and 23rd are too old because these fires have moved too much. Now, heading east towards the line of termination of the sun, we go over Africa. Mozambique and Botswana, no fire. Zimbabwe in between them. This is a fire burning in Mozambique. I take a moment to, whoa. This is a lot of burned area. Pretty much everything within the bounding boxes. There's a fire right here. Fire right here. Possible fire right there. It is massive. Let's see how it lines up. 41 kilometers. So that's previously burned, but as you can see, there are still get rid of that off screen. Still a tremendous fire burning here. Smoke, very dense, filling black smoke. Smoke heading southwest, and the fire moving the other direction. But this fire can burn any direction it wants to. It doesn't need to just rely on the wind when it has fuel everywhere to combust. So, some home or something combust, or grass or leaves, as fire would spread. These are massive looking, previously burned areas alongside a river system in Mozambique. Again, river cheats, fire cheats using river systems. Slope, fresh vegetation, the smoke can accumulate over the water, heating up the water. As a lot it does over a series of days of severe fire activity like this. These don't look like fields. It's a tremendous amount of previously burned lands. Starting to see more and more smoke as it breaks up in the higher altitudes. Smoke screen. There's possible spot fires here. Previously burned land, previously burned, previously burned, previously burned, and up here. Mozambique, no fire. Some really alarming scale of these fires are burning along inside Mozambique. Let's go over to Mozambique using false color satellite. And 8, 4, and 3. Let's go mosey on over to Mozambique. There are fires all throughout Africa. Africa knows fire. But in particular, wildfires that get out of control, Mozambique seems to have its trouble. Some areas burn alongside the river. Back to the area we were at, looking at false color. Shows the large patches of burned land. A lot more than it looks like at first glance. What this could be burns from the past few days, don't know, so let's check. Make a time lapse of this area from the 11th to the 23rd. This is from the 12th. There's a bunch of spot fires that changed all throughout, but it really is just wild. This kind of fire that's just dominating the region in Mozambique. Could just be a slow bushfire that's been burning for weeks. It's burning hot and it's alongside a river. You see here, south of the river. Terrible smoke, thick, billowing black smoke. Fire that isn't burning across these 3 fields. These could be farm fields burning, but the smoke's too terrible, the smoke's too great. This whole area is just decimated by fire. Fire doesn't heal things, fire destroys. Mozambique is looking very, very dry. Take a look at another wildfire in Mozambique. See here, on this river, possible trail ditch. These fires are numerous. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all along this area right here. There's a lot of smoke is putting up. And this is thinner smoke. It's thinning out. As you can see, wildfires. It adds up every fire, but now it's either jumping over that way. I don't know. Fires is. These are really intensely burning fires along this channel. Yeah, it makes gains down the slopes of the rivers, as we've been saying. Fire keeps cheating death by going down the slope and coming back up, burning, going down the slope, burning, going down, burning. Keeps getting bigger and bigger, but the time that it comes back down and it meets a river bend, it doesn't need to respect this river bend, and it's going to keep burning true in whichever angle that it meets. It rolls over the water, possibly. Or smoke transfers a lot of hot material. There's a lot of reasons why river banks are great for fires, because they slope, and it's just excellent ground to cover for fires, to be able to keep doing this kind of U-shape burning in tandem along the riverside. Very deep burns they're looking like in Mozambique. Elsewhere in Mozambique, hopefully it loads. I hope I sound okay on the mic. Only dropped it once. Now this is Mozambique as well. These fires are also intense. And these are just scanned from yesterday. All these fires that we're looking at are all from yesterday to today. Nothing is for older than that. Let's go back out and see where we're at. Take a moment to load, I apologize. Any moment now. It will produce images. Mozambique knows fire. Quite extensive fire. Let's zoom out a little bit. Yeah, we're relatively still in the same area of Mozambique. A lot of dense bushfires burning these little enclaves of moisture and vegetation, burning everything, but combusting what is dry. Severe smoke, a lot of previously burned areas all along Mozambique. These are fires. These were fires. Not that last one. Enormous fires. Enormous regions of land being burned, burning, gone. These fires are on the smaller side of what we've been seeing in Bolivia, but it doesn't mean they're not unique and have their own set of problems and hard work to control them, contain them, to put them out, push them back, stop them from burning forward. It's a lot of little fires like this. And they build up over time and they destroy the land around it, or just causing it to just get sick, causing moisture to leave the area, smoke, blankets, huge swaths of Mozambique. These fires, right here, it doesn't take long to find a new fire. Possibly just one fire there. That's burning here. Smoke trails. See other spot fires. Well, up here. They're numerous, and they're burning freely. These are zombie fires. It's just hundreds of kilometers, square kilometers, just burning again and again and again. These fires in Mozambique right now, they look pretty intense. They're burning alongside a river. You see a smoke plume, the shadow right here, shadow right here, the smoke plume here, shadow of the smoke here. There's other ways to find smoke besides finding the shadows, but those that smoke is pretty defined to have a shadow that deep. Mozambique has been burning. Burning. Looks like a lot of wispy smoke, a lot of smaller brush fires. Further south we go, more cloud coverage, back to the area that we were looking at previously along this river system. Pretty big burn here, but not fully active. This is scorched earth. Probably a fire that was put out. Do not see any active fire on it, but these are just snaps in time. Although these are the most recent snaps. Botswana is another country that's reporting a lot of fires lately. Might take a moment because I switched over to Botswana. You see a lot of the different color. The grass or the brush will indicate the fires, but we don't need to look too far. That's massive. That's a fire front of 8 kilometers. Plus it's burning within itself, it's finding fuel that's in itself in the fire perimeter. These, this is an enormous wildfire with plenty of new advances that it's making, and it's going to be able to retake these areas as it burns inward into itself, along with the wind pushing it wherever it goes. This area is burning right here. Devastatingly scorched earth. These fires are wind driven and they are moving very fast. Just north of those fires are more fires. More cover. Oh, no. Wow, okay. There is a lot of fire here. This is a hugely... This fire perimeter, it doesn't have the smoke and the fuel that the Bolivia fires have, but these are still pretty massive active fire fronts on these perimeters that we're seeing. We're seeing a lot more pushing out as the wind whips down. South-southwest. These still burning on the western side of this giant, on the western flank of this fire front, this active fire perimeter. Massive gains possible. And again, if these are controlled burns, I don't think they are. This is difficult to reach area in Botswana. These fires are so large and the smoke is so terrible, but it's what the fire does when it's hot enough outside. It makes everything within a mile bubble hot and dry, which then combust, causing fires to appear in other places hundreds of miles away. Keep missing all these dunes, wavy dunes. That is a huge wildfire in Botswana. Elsewhere in Botswana, more fire. Not nearly as large, not nearly as big as previous fires noted, but still another fire with multiple multiple fire active burning alongside the perimeter, burning deep and hard. I hope it's not just people trying to burn their fields or farm fields for the year. Don't do that. Not a lot of smoke in that one. That's just right over here to the west of that spot fire that looked to be pretty good. Alongside a road here. Multiple active fire burns everywhere along this behemoth of a fire that's pushing out big smoke. It's dense and heavy, and then it dissipates and it's spread all along the place. Oop. Huge fire near a body of water. Hard to tell how many, if there is that many. It's just an inferno at this point. It's not like other fires we've seen where you can actually see the individual wildfires on the burned land. But this is Botswana nose fire. Back to the fire we saw up here in Botswana. Very terrible burns. Very chewing everything. Strange elevations, missing hills and dips, and not a lot of river systems here, so these fires, these brush fires, are burning hard. Very hard. Now, it's nighttime, but I still want to go back a few hours just to see if we can see these possible fires. Not a lot of smoke. You just see the perimeters being etched, but that's about it. Not seeing the other, not seeing fire burning. These are all in 10-minute increments. This isn't real time as you can get. Well, it might be time. Sunrise in Australia. Yep. Whoa. Okay, that's Queensland. These look pretty. These look like wildfires. Or just smoke. That's smoke here. And this is all along the Gold Coast and heading out to the Gold Coast for day of tourism. You see this here? This is what I mean by when smoke mends itself and connects. Pulls it like a suspension bridge. Smoke doesn't have to move in the way that weather moves. It is moved for itself. But this is an alarming amount of smoke that's coming out of Roma here. These fires are burning pretty massively here. These are going to be interesting to take a look at. Let's see if I can go over to Australia and see just how many fires are burning near the Gold Coast. Tourism areas are big tourism area. Down to Queensland, the Gold Coast. This is scans from yesterday. So if there were fires here by some fires burning alongside the Gold Coast. Right here, smoke. Pretty big fire footprint that we're looking at near a lot of very important protected places. You can see smoke all throughout these little valleys and hills. Fires burning here and here. This is just 45 kilometers from the coast. Southwest of Coffs Harbor. Pretty big burns that look like they've been taking place. A lot of devastated land. These fires have been burning for a few days. Let's look at a time lapse. What it looks like 3rd to October 11th to 23rd. Now let's just leave them all here and push play. Significant wildfire in the image, that's on October 16th. A lot of smoke. A lot of movement, a lot of fire movement. It moves under the smoke pretty freely and keeps it hot, as well as dropping fuel down. Not fuel, I'm sorry. Dropping like hot embers. Wind picks it up, lofts it. Pretty big fires that have been happening here over the last week. Near the Gold Coast, Port Macquarie, Port Macquarie. Yeah, sounds right. Armandale, just west of these fires, and some more spot fires burning by Corendi Beach. It's a lot of other spot fires burning. I'm sure they are being handled. Pretty important roadway, harbors, ports, and going up to the Gold Coast. Big tourism. I see burned land, but nothing. Well, these fires got pretty close to Logan City. Amazing how big these things actually look when you try to compare them to a city. It could just overwhelm. And how we have only seen that maybe 1 or 2 times. It takes a lot of work to push these back, fight these fires, but when they're near residential areas, like, that is terrifying. That's Brisbane, very close to Brisbane. It looks like some spot fires, but nothing huge. Also in Queensland, more spot fires, more wildfires, bushfires. A lot of smoke. It's Northern Territory. I gotta turn on borders. Still in Queensland. I've not left Queensland before seeing this other major fire that's been burning on multiple points here. The smoke. Another fire here. And multiple fires burning here. Okay, so that's alarming. Another fire burning up here. And there's a lot of burned land already. Previously burned land within the season. August was the beginning of fire season for Australia. Running out of scans of Queensland from yesterday. That's fine. There will be more. Wanted to come over to Alice Springs. Take a look at yesterday's smoky mess. A lot of damage to the ground, wildfires. Not seeing active fires nearby. Take a ride over to Australia, looking at false urban. We can try to separate these fires from the city over here. Went over close to the Gold Coast. If the scans are there, they are. Now, also, Western Australia had a pretty big fire south of Broome, north. Lots of big patches here. I mean, it really, this could all have been from just this last few days, which probably is. I remember some of these patches just from the other day. Oh, active fire. Very terrible smoke, very billowing black smoke, wind driven, fire whips, 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 because these are all dunes, hills. Fire likes to go like, fire likes to come in, go up, go around. Smoke allows it to pick up hot particulates and rain it down on another area, which they will roll. That's too light. I just have my color. Where did my color go? Which color was it? Red? Not that red. Yep, that red. Pink? Nope. I gotta put the colors more to see what I can get pop on the screen. Massive. 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 "16 kilometers. 16 square kilometers. It's a lot of terrible rundown land. Hot and dry. Terrible drought. Especially in the southeast of Australia. No, southwest of Australia. Perth. Going around these areas, but looks like drought is all over Australia right now since it hasn't been raining. Whoa. These fires have been busy. This is the western side of Australia, and it's getting south in these can be caves, can be a lot of different ways that would accelerate a fire. Just shoot it out of the other side. Like, you know, the gases and stuff that would be present, that might be present. Very dark black billowing smoke as it just runs the entire river system like I've been describing, where the river fire cheats death in the river. You can keep coming back. Riverbanks are sloped, plenty of vegetation that's dense that might be burning and you don't see it. This is brutal. By a bunch of roads, by yet another river system, because looks like all these wildfires have learned how to abuse these river systems. There's 3 different continents with very similar fire behavior, just whipping around and rolling around these riverbanks and going up, back down, and these runs that eventually incinerate the entire land like this. This connects a previous fire to another area of on its flank. A lot of dark smoke billowing out, and these hills, as the fire rolls down and slowly arcs back up and goes over another hill, it's going to connect to another previously burned area here, where it'll definitely catch some more areas on fire, since they're going to be left dry and drought stricken from previous waves of flame. Huge fire. What is that? Smoke? Yes. Flash of white smoke on top of the flame, on top of the black smoke. These bushfires are massive. This could all be a similar what we saw in Bolivia. Just running, you know, just zigzagging across and burning everything. It slowly tumbles with the wind, works its way back. Australia's really rough shape. Oh my. These are all from yesterday. Really getting out of hand. They are out of hand. This is a lot. A lot of fires. A lot of fires. These are wildfires. This is a spot fire here. No, it's actually that's an active front. See right here. As the fire goes as far as it can before it runs out of fuel. I mean that's the last run of that fire. That area can burn again and again and again. With fires burning enough grass, soil, roots, plants, vegetation, animals. An animal on fire running will probably set a lot of things on fire. All along the river system, fires using the river system slopes. Fire rolls downhill and then climbs back up. Previously burned land up to the highway. This There's a lot of huge burned areas over the last few days. Those are all fires within this season. Over the false color to the western side of Australia. Yeah, right up here south of Brew. These were pretty massive. This was a pretty massive fire when it took off. It just went gone. It looked like a farm. Some other areas got hit. It's just massive regions. These are all just from the last few days in the western Australia side. After these fires successfully burned over the border from the Northern Territory into Western Australia, among other reasons why there would be wildfire in Western Australia now, besides it being drought conditions. These are massive stretches of land that we're talking about here. We're not talking about just some farm area that's burning their land for the year. These are down to the fires that we were looking at earlier. Still seeing the false color how dense that smoke is. And how alive these fires are. They're burning great. I don't mean great, I mean greatly. Making huge gains with such severe active. And right here, fire and the smoke bend together. Allowing the fire. You just go under here, under the smoke. That's why you see just a random trail that'll go out of a fire and stop sometimes, because the smoke's allowing it. But now it's going to go back to these other areas that have been chewed up by fire. That's dehydrated land. Moisture index. Oh, that's not good for anybody. Is all of Australia in a drought? Oh, it hasn't been raining. Very drought stricken, especially in the southwest, especially in the northwest, especially in the north, and in the east. Yeah, it looks like much of northern territories and Western Australia are suffering from extreme drought, where these blazes can just pop up anywhere now. Combustion. Due to combustion. Big fire here. Look, ashy looking center where it burned out from the first waves. Let's do a time lapse of this fire. the 11th to the 23rd. So it looks like it's been previously burned here before, but there's a fire here to the bottom left side of it as well. Yep. They just 20th to the 22nd, just this little area, and it just explodes and makes significant gains over a matter of 48 hours. Northern Territory, that's just, oh, that's north of Alice Springs. That fire's still burning. Australia is looking like it's gonna have a rough day today. All this smoke and these fires that you can see from space. These fires might spread further south. All the smoke is gonna go everywhere. That is such a significant fire. It can burn the other sides of the hills and slopes. Very extreme fire behavior. Burning alongside the river system again. It'll be interesting to see what the rest of Australia looks like later. Let's go back a day though. Right here. Queensland side of central Queensland. And then wind picks it up, pushes them all together, they all mend into one fire. Smoke helps the fire advance further. Here, right before. Wow, okay. Those are serious burns. Right before the sun went down. So this fire here, that fire, been burning since at least yesterday. And looking at this, see how it has feet? These could be new fires all along that are mending together with this fire here. That's smoke. blends together and allows even more heat to transfer. Heat to sneak underneath. Now you see here, this bend right here, that's all smoke. You're not going to see what regular clouds do this. The smoke gets bumper card into these structures that they take. But these, this is looking very whipsy up until the end where they can join. But I would like to know if these are all individual fires or is it just one fire with moving smoke plumes. Could be both. Last 3 hours. Okay, it is. This is not a fire each foot, but this is what I call a smoke structure. And this whole thing is moving southwest. These fires here that feed it by this are going to cause this thing tilt and rotate, as well as the other influences on the area. It's mended up over here in a suspension bridge of strength, and that is wild. Just from that, just a couple of screens that happen, you can see it moving. It is moving as a solid structure. And right here is the fire that's feeding it. Zoom in a little more here. This is all burned land. And the fire's right here. Starting daytime. This is a very active fire that's pushing smoke, and it's meeting with smoke that was from a fire up here, and it's mended towards smoke on the other side. It's alarmingly close. So the Gold Coast is definitely covered in smoke right now. And these fires look to be still burning since yesterday. More smoke, more points of burn. This might only get worse. These fires, this is burning within 300 kilometers of the Gold Coast. Brisbane, Warwick, Logan City, Ipswich, a lot of big towns. Burning alongside highways. Later sunrise today for Australia. This is not an illusion, that is smoke. ends right here, where it's being fueled by multiple plumes at once. Massive, massive, massive. Let's see if I can find any news on YouTube regarding Australia wildfire. Oh, look. Me. Don't know where this is in Australia. A huge water body. Well, nothing new lately. Let's take a look at Bolivia wildfire. Me. So Bolivia's side of the Amazon wildfire, that's, yeah, we've been covering this. This is from 3 weeks ago, covering wildfire in Bolivia. That's now just this mega fire. How about just wildfire? If I just search wildfire, well, any of these countries that are experiencing these massive, unprecedented wildfires in the southern hemisphere. Yep, just me. Hours, 4 hours. Where is the wildfire coverage? 7 News, 9 News, ABC, Australia. Those are just the big ones. But I also look at New Zealand news as well. For mention of, you know, they don't want any of this fire. And there's a lot of smoke that can travel to New Zealand. That's right. Conditions, it's huge amounts of smoke that's transiting over the ocean now in Timor Sea to Indonesia. And these fires whip around. And I don't have to go more than 500 kilometers before I see another wildfire that is visible from very, very high up. Not Go back to Zoomer, see where we're at during the day, refresh. It'll update. I was mostly curious about all of this smoke here that's engulfing the Gold Coast and more. This is a massive wall cloud, like this. I mean, even smaller than that. See, that's you. And this smoke screen is a wall, and it's that thick. That is insane. That is one of the most insane things I've seen, and I've seen a lot of it, and just huge, massive fires that just boggles the mind how we could possibly deal with the smoke. Combat the fire, but you can't do anything about the smoke. The smoke sits, smoke stands. This is what I mean by the smoke staying in the structure when it remains still long enough and sticks together and starts moving all as one. You got this giant cloud, a giant storm front looking thing that's just a mass amount of smoke that's been pushed into familiar shapes that we expect to see a weather front. If this goes over the highway and stays over the highway, it reduces visibility. It's going to stall some cars. Especially kind of smokier you taking in the engine, like your filter is just going to... These are pretty massive fires burning. This is a... It is just sending out these in this shape. It comes out. And then it dissipates further along as smoke acts on itself when it reaches this terminal line, and it's going to push all that other smoke towards the Gulf Coast. Oh, sorry, the Gold Coast, which is just a few short, a couple hours, not even 100 kilometers is nothing. So this is telling me here, all this smoke being pushed out here, is that it's going to keep mending with these, which are suspension bridge now support for the rest of the smoke. And it is going to come down. Either it's going to get caught up in the coastline and it's going to be pulled out to sea, where it'll just dissipate and fall everywhere, or if this arcs here and falls down within this region. A lot of smoke, and you can see it here that this is huge. This is one of the biggest smoke structures I've seen so far. You don't know what's underneath it. It's just this, for us, two-dimensional blob until we can get a look at it, where it's how it's standing. A lot of different breaks in the line because this thing is making these strange new scans to look at. Okay. Wow. Wow, this thing is making some progress today. It rolled. That's one thing about smoke that people mistake. Like, they can get caught up in a squall line and get rolled up. Strange things like this texture here can happen. Oh, there's more smoke up here. Okay, that's alarming. It's super close to Gold Coast, and they are covered by clouds. And there is another fire here, like another fire here, and smoke as well. The smoke doesn't just fly up and fly up. Smoke hits it and it wants to hit a thermal inversion. It wants to go up higher, but it doesn't. It just spreads out further and further. But if it hits a thermal inversion, then that's when you start seeing just over the top of the fire this disc, this plate that begins to grow outward. You see a lot of volcanoes punch through 30,000 feet. And the smoke is slow, and it can only go as fast as far as the external force is acting upon it. It doesn't like to move. If smoke can stay still, it will stay at rest, and it'll become this kind of smoke structure. But I'm thinking this fire right here that's coming underneath it, coming up right underneath it, it's flipping it. Parts of it. It's a huge moving structure that looks like it's, well, it is here. It's very connected to this strong looking suspension bridge of support. Here is where some weak points are. And then we go to lathe. Now, this looks like all these are starting to bundle up together. And it's going to use this smoke here above the Gold Coast as a fulcrum, while this fire here pushes, using fire as the source of not just the expelling gases, energy, even wind fanning through the fire that gets underneath smoke that starts whipping around faster than it normally entered. Starts to see like a firestorm. This is still feeding this right now, and this is by the Gold Coast, and I don't see anything, at least on YouTube. There was a clubhouse a few days ago that went up, but I'm not seeing that kind of continued coverage. Because I think if firefighters in Australia are still on strike, it could be absolutely catastrophic. I haven't seen any news, but it's a lot of huge territories, and all the money is in the smallest one apparently, in Australian Capital Territory. You spread your money around to your firemen and women, people, and persons. Do it. Pay your wildland firefighters, especially. There's too many countries that are debating on paying these people, but they sleep under open sky. They only know fire and smoke. They breathe in it all day. And their hands and arms and legs go through a lot of vibrations. either from heavy machinery rolling by, causing vibrations. It builds up over time, causes problems. As any job where you're having to bend over a lot, pick up things that are heavy, get out of the way, obey heavy machinery, and take long, straight lines around it. Hard being safe. Also expensive. Pay your local fire departments and your wildland firefighters. Otherwise, you're going to see this. You're going to get a lot of green people that are going to encounter these, what they thought was a spot fire near a highway. It turns out to be this conglomerate of smoke that's pulling dozens of wildfires behind it from the the northwest. So these fires still come here. Here's a fire. Each one of these strands is like silk being pulled. It is unreal, and it gets to this area on the ground where the smoke is like this. And the plumes are coming back from here as the plumes cut off from the original source of fire being fed into these like a bag. They'll still retain the shape of the smoke plume until something bumps into it, or heavy winds or air pressure. It's a lot that plays in on smoke that breaks it up. But when you have smoke this big, you start seeing very strange things. You got your strange bends of smoke. That look like a support bridge or a bumper of a car. And you know, the people in Gold Coast, they can just look up and see this. I haven't checked any live cameras, but I'm sure they exist and they're there. But I don't need to see live cameras of people on a beach when I know the smoke is there. It's probably too high up. Probably too high up. That would be a good indicator of its altitude. But see, this is all acting as a fulcrum, and it's going to tighten. And it's going to cause smoke to either fall or shake out. They shake out all the particulates as they tumble. A lot of ash and other things that just cover the area, and smoke is terrible to breathe. These are really important cities, especially Brisbane. That is. You see, just north of this fire too, seeing these, what looks to be a mega fire. Just dozens of smaller fires that are making up a larger fire. All the smoke from all those whips of fires men together, and they go off. And that's when it starts feeding like a bag, and either it hits the firm one version and goes up higher, or it just stays still, which you won't do around such active fires like this. The fire is going to keep rolling up this structure until it's a squall line looking, a squall line looking line of smoke. There's another fire that's burning here underneath this cloud. So the Gold Coast is seeing an alarming increase in smoke. Is that a fire? Here. Is a fire. We can check that. Going over here, the false color. Bands 12, 11, and 4. Going to nearby taking a moment to load, I apologize. See what else. Come over here. Okay. Way up. Now look how densely populated Brisbane is. Very densely populated. Very big city. Like they have their own moat. Cool. A stadium. Oh, it's very bustling. Very big city. It stretches out. Millions of people. Sprawling out. See here, the fires look like they burned up to the hillsides. That can cause erosion and soil deformities that will cause soil failures and ground failures that will cause further erosion and just instability for buildings nearby that happening. Yeah, it's I think that's the highest resolution. That's a little blurry, but at least you get the idea that they're buildings and their homes and their businesses and sports centers. It's big in Brisbane. It's big. There are fires burning dangerously close, but within 50 kilometers of Brisbane, Gold Coast. Hate to see it. Hate to see all the fire that we've seen today. It would take an army of planning to take some of these fires that we've seen today. Fires in the hundreds of square kilometers and all points active along the perimeter. Go down a little further south. I think we saw this Loriton. False Harbor, so I need to go even further south. There. The Gold Coast. One of the only roads there. There's Tiree. Pari. And what am I looking for? Port Acquire. Right. 3 different ways I keep saying it. I never agree. Yep, there it is. Previously burned land. Pretty much everything else in this image. If more fires here are possible. These are plumes being ejected. Absolutely ferocious looking fires. Dangerously close to populated coasts and important ports. Not seeing anything else. Let's go back one more time. You can see the Northern Territory. It's just very thin, wispy nature of all of this smoke. These are fires that are burning way up in Queensland and its peninsula. Not on the frames, of course. Only them two. There's movement here in this smoke. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, at least 3. Nine. And this fire, like on the western side of Australia. And then it lines back. Lines back. And it'll just keep doing this until it runs out of fuel. And the wind just keeps. Yeah. The wind pushes west. Looks like gentle winds right now, at least. But any amount of increase in wind is going to be detrimental to putting out these fires. They look like they're already pretty active, even though they might be in new areas. One thing we wanted to check is Alice Springs. Alice Springs reported a pretty high air quality index number today for the first time, even though it's been surrounded by smoke and fire for days now. And just looking at this massive buildup of smoke over the Northern Territory. It's all smoke. That is all smoke. All smoke. All of it. And right here it looks like it's going to be stabilizing where it will become smoke structure. You can see as creates little structures of support. And then it acts as a suspension bridge of support on top of feeding from new fires, or from already burning fires and new fires. In Western Australia, I've seen some fires lately that look catastrophic. Now let's see. South Australia, I've gone too far. Western Australia, southeast of Broome, where these fires have been burning on the western side of Australia, with a ridiculously long plume of smoke that is just... Ow! "78 kilometers or so." You see, like, smoke will always find itself. Smoke is sticky, and it'll stick together, and it'll find itself because it's always going to go to the path of least resistance, as if there's a current of air pushing in, it pushes this out. Everything works out for smoke. So this fire here is going to mend smoke. This fire here And this can be another run, another run, another run, another run of these valleys here, hills, these dunes. Burning whatever vegetation left, but only one side of these are burned. I can go back over every single side of these again and burn the opposite side of the dune. And then you have this thick, dark, black smoke. That is, look at that. That is a very noxious looking plume. Is the height of that plume, I would say. Hopefully it's not hitting a thermal inversion, but it can be building up. So it could be. That's when the smoke goes up higher than normally travels. Normally it would just go boom, boom, go around, and becomes underneath clouds or clouds themselves. But instead, the smoke travels higher up and it reaches up and starts creating this disc-like structure high above it. I'm not saying that's what this is, I'm saying that with this amount of smoke being pushed up at such great forces, especially if it hits any kind of fuel that causes further explosions and combustions. That's what I mean by the really 1/2 of each side, and we just go run around. So it's one, pretty significant fire activity. Sorry about that. Checking Zoom Earth. A structure, a smoke structure, a ghost ship. Might as well have. That's the way it's going. But it's more being pushed out from weather. No, there's no weather when I'm talking about. There's no rain. It tilts it, it rotates it. This is an alarming amount of fires that are burning just north of Alice Springs. Come back over to this window where we will set corrected reflectance. I'm still in Bolivia on this window. I go back over to Australia. This is some of the latest imagery that I can find, or we can find. A lot of burns. Northern Territory. Ring. A lot of smoke. This burn right here this wasn't alarming. This was a massive race of flame that just went straight, and combined with other fires combining so itself. This fire behavior is really amazing. That looks like smoke. A little bit of fire right here. This looks like another fire. Yep. 3 different fires in Queensland. Very whipsy. But they are feeding into a greater area of smoke, so they're not as clear as the other ones. They are under a smoke screen. Just the one frame. There are a lot of fires right now in Queensland, more than I was expecting to see. And this smoke is looking very gnarly. Very gnarly looking smoke. Being acted upon by so many different forces and other smoke bumping into it, which will mend together, and that smoke will connect like a suspension bridge between 2 fires. This is an alarming amount of smoke. Over beers. Back over to these areas, Queensland, where we saw these fires in the other view. They look like they're pretty tall. Pretty tall plumes. They rotate. Common smoke pattern. These are very new, we know that, because you can see them burning right here. Although it looks like a 3rd fire was created or happened in the area south of it, as long as here is all previously burned area. Significant in size. 83 kilometer. Hard to tell if that's smoke or not. Probably smoke. Wind's pulling south. Plenty of fires here. 4, 5, 6, 7. New South Wales, Queensland, Northern Territory, Australia, and Western Australia are seeing pretty significant fires, but nobody is seeing smoke. Well, this looks like the kind of smoke that was over in Northern Territory a couple of days ago. But these fires are burning very close to a lot of different villages, cities, and a very huge city of Brisbane along the Gold Coast. These bars acting here, these bends, it's connected behind this weather as this weather here is going to pull that smoke out with it as it's rolled up into a squall line. Sorry, I was just trying to pack a cone. Excuse me. I will be right back. Need a better cough button. Away from the smoke. Oh, there you are. Golly. There you go. We'll play. There's another one running around somewhere. Where's the ceiling on? Reach up here, huh? Okay. Good. Good to know. Still doing this, figuring out this streaming thing. Fires are monstrous. Some of the biggest wildfires on Earth. Well, one more update. You know, show at least south of Broome. Why? He is very smart at the keyboard. Hop over to the west side of Australia, Western Australia. Hey, get off that fan. You don't know what you're doing. Oh, he sneezed. I don't know if that sneezed. That cat sneeze picked up, maybe. Oh, he's so adorable. Year and a half old, Mulder and Scully. What is it? You're he is strangely attracted to this keyboard today. Generally, he's not in the room. Not that I keep him out of the room, he just doesn't come into the room. He knows I'm doing this podcast, I guess, at this point. He's used to his own behaviors and habits. He is adorable though. He is nuzzling me very hard. Oop. Go play. Okay. He was extremely curious. Now he has to go tell. Now he has to go tell Mulder, his bonded brother. He doesn't know what that smell was. Something. He's licking the function keys. Don't know why. That means it's got more frames now. Very powerful fire happening here. Train of flame. As it's just pushing out a chimney of smoke. Okay. I will wait for one more scan. I am intensely curious about these fires, but I don't think this will have to be another time. A whole other. So right now, this is more just an overview of a few massive fires that are happening around the world. Like smoke dominates Northern Territory, though. Okay, I think I'll call it here. Next up, I will go back over these fires, the bushfires and the bush smoke in Australia again, but also the pounding amount of smoke that's happening in Northern Territory. Alright, well, be safe. Thank you for watching. Have a good night or day. Oh no! He is... I don't know if you can hear him. He is just all over this microphone. I don't think it's the side that you can hear, but it is. He's intensely curious about this podcast. Alright, bye.